Good morning. Today's lesson 33 for Tuesday. How do we solve quadratic equations with complex roots? All right, so this is a little review. Quadratic formula, x equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All right, that can be used to solve any quadratic equation of the standard form, which is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, where a is not equal to 0. All right, so let's get started. Even though it says, I'm just going to do both of these, and I should have deleted that. All right, I'm doing both of these. The next page, you're going to do those two questions for classwork, and then the following page is your homework because today is Tuesday. All right, so first question. Identify A, B, and C. My A is 2, my B is 11, my C is negative 6. Then plug it into my formula. All right. Now I'm going to work with what's inside of my parentheses first. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm plugging in the discriminant, which is this portion of the equation, into my calculator. All right, so that is parentheses 11 close parentheses squared minus 4 times 2 in parentheses times negative 6 in parentheses, which gives me 169. And I know from my previous lesson that 169 is a perfect square. So this is going to work out nicely. All right. And 4, sorry. So x equals negative 11. And if you don't know, the square root of 169 is 13. Negative 11 plus or minus 13. So negative 11 plus 13 divided by 4. And then negative 11 minus 13 divided by 4. Plus, so the first one is 1/2. I'm doing this on my calculator just so we don't waste time. And the second one is negative 6. So this is just a refresher on quadratic formula. So I'm actually not going to do this one. I'm actually going to do one of your U-try questions, and then you're only going to do this one, because these should give you the answers that I'm looking for. I want you to get a complex root. A complex root is like an imaginary number, okay? Or just an irrational, same thing, okay? Well, not irrational, more imaginary, but we'll get to that. Okay, so I'm going to do this one. X equals, so let's, A is 1, B is negative 2, C is 3. So this should be a nice one. Negative 2 plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac. So again, I'm doing one of your U-try questions, and you're gonna do D. Okay. So I'm gonna be running into that side of the page, but it's okay. All over 2 times 1. All right, again, I'm plugging in the discriminant into my calculator, which is -2 squared minus 4 times 1 times 3. Perfect. So -2 becomes a +2. Square root of -8. Again, complex root means that it's going to give us that imaginary number divided by 2. So now we have x equals, now we're going to simplify or break down this radical. I'm going to do that quickly on the side here. So I know that that breaks down to a -1, all right? And then the 8 can be broken down like this. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 is a perfect square. Square root of 4 is 2. And square root of -1 is I, right? So put these all together, and we have 2 plus or minus. Remember, this has to be in BI form. So that's going to be 2I square root 2 all over 2. Okay? So when you have a negative number under the radical, you take out the -1 because that's going to be your I, your imaginary number. All right? And then you break down the number as if it was a positive. So 4 times 2 gives me 8. Then I break down the square root of 4, which gives me 2. And then I leave that remaining 2 underneath the radical. Now, BI form means the whole number and the I go together. That's how I got that 2I on the outside of this radical. The radical always goes last. Okay? So now separate this into two equations. This is going to be x equals 2 plus 2I radical 2 over 2, and x equals 2 minus 2I radical 2 over 2. All right, now all these 2's, excluding the one in the radical, that one can't be simplified. The ones on the outside can be, right? Because with multiplication and division, even though there's an I attached, you can still divide here, all right? That I is in the right place. So 2 can go into 2 one time, so all of these 2's become 1's. But this one that's attached to the I will have an imaginary 1. So x equals 1 plus I radical 2, and that's it, because anything over 1 is itself. All right, so what I did was cancel these out and made these all 1's, and that's how I rewrote it down here. All right, now this one, same thing. They all cancel out and become 1's, and then except there's a minus here. All right, so x equals 1 plus or minus I square root 2. All right, so you only have one U-try question to do, which is in question D. And it's going to be very similar to C. Okay, and then here is your homework. All right, your homework for tonight, Tuesday. All right, these will be quadratic equations with complex roots using this formula. All right, same thing we did in the previous slides. Awesome.